Dear students, in today's class, our topic of lecture is objective correlative. T.S. Eliot's objective correlative. In last class, we studied concept of impersonality. T.S. Eliot's concept of impersonality. And in today's class, we'll be studying T.S. Eliot's another concept, and that concept is objective correlative. As all of you know, T.S. Eliot is a very famous modern critic. He was born in 1888 and died in 1965. He was a great critic, a great poet. He wrote Westland, and he was a great dramatist as well. His theories, his theories are the pillar of the modern criticism of literature. This term, objective correlative, this term was first of all used by American painter Alston, Washington Alston, and this was popularized in literature by T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot wrote a famous essay, and the name of the essay is Hamlet and His Problems. This essay was later on included in his critical book entitled The Sacred Wood. In the essay Hamlet and His Problems, T.S. Eliot introduced in English literature the concept of objective correlative. So, our primary concern is to know what is this objective correlative. Suppose you are a writer, you are a critic, you are a novelist, dramatist, a poet. So, if you are describing something, which way is better for you to describe things? To say, to express yourself emotionally? You want to say something through the words, or you want to show the things to the audience or readers? I want to say, you want direct emotional expression or indirect symbolic representation. You know, in 20th century, the critical mode shifted. It shifted from describing to showing. Writers try to show things to readers or audience. What is objective correlative? This method of showing through the words, not describing, but showing, is connected to the idea of, to the concept of objective correlative. In this essay, Hamlet and His Problems, T.S. Eliot says, the only way of expressing emotion in the form of art is finding an objective correlative. And what is objective correlative? Very important words: a set of objects, a situation, and a chain of events. He further says, these things, a set of objects, a situation, a chain of events, which shall be the formula of that particular emotion, such that when the external facts which must terminate in the sensory experience are given, the emotion is immediately evoked. If if we have any emotion inside us, what we should do? We should not say that I am very much angry, I am very much depressed. These are not the ways of objective correlative. So, what are the ways of objective correlative? The ways of objective correlative is to find something equivalent to our emotion. Suppose I am angry, I have to find in external world some equivalent emotion, equivalent object in the external world, and through that object, by describing that object, we can show our feeling of anger inside us. If we simplify the things, an objective correlative is a symbolic situation or set of images that evokes a specific emotional response in the audience without stating the emotion directly. Means, in literature, the person who is describing himself, the writer who is describing about the character, is not stating something directly. He is not stating something directly. Rather, he is finding an objective correlative in the external world. Means equivalent to his emotion, he finding some a set of events, a situation, an object in the external world. In means in after some time, I will explain this thing with examples as well. Suppose I am very angry, and I want to find an equivalent object in the external world. Equivalent object can be means something very hot like a sun, or burning coals. Means anything which is dreadful, which is red, which is equal to my anger. It can be an object by describing which we can express our emotions. Rather than, we can take another example. If we have to say he was heartbroken, we can show that man tearing up a letter, saying, staring silently at the closed window, or walking away from a place they once loved. The emotion is implied, not declared. In this example, a person is heartbroken. So if you describe him, just write or just give a comment from the behind that that person is heartbroken, that will not give much impact. What will be much impactful? If you show that man tearing up a letter, doing something unusual, staring silently at a closed window, or walking away from a place where he once loved very much. So all these things can show the inner state of that character. Hamlet and his problems. This is the essay of T.S. Eliot. What did T.S. Eliot do in that essay? T.S. Eliot closely examined William Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Hamlet, which is a masterpiece, very famous dramatic piece of William Shakespeare. It is, very popular and very famous and successful masterpiece. But surprisingly, T.S. Eliot said that no, this play Hamlet is an artistic failure. This is not a very successful drama. Why? He found several loopholes in this play. Hamlet is a character in the play Hamlet. He is a prince of Denmark and he is not at his home when the play opens. He is studying somewhere in the Wittenberg, and when the play opens, he comes back to his country, Denmark, and he gets a very bad news that his father has been killed. His father is dead, and his uncle Claudius has taken the position of his father. His uncle has become the king of Denmark, and he has married his mother Gertrude, and his father is no more. He is very shocked to see all these things. The very same day at the night, the ghost of his father appears before him and informs him that I did not, that your father, and means I, the ghost says, I did not die a natural death. My death was not natural. I was killed by your uncle Claudius. He is my murderer, and my soul will not be satisfied until and unless you have to punish him by killing him. Hamlet is doubtful about the ghost. So he does something to test whether what the ghost said is correct or not. And ultimately, he is convinced that his uncle Claudius killed his father and usurped his kingdom. He became king in place of his father and he married his mother as well. So, all these situations fill Hamlet with a number of emotions which he had to describe. In a very famous scene of Hamlet, Hamlet says, to be or to not be, that is the question. Miss Hamlet is full of emotions. He is overloaded with emotions and he has to describe himself. And T.S. Eliot says that this play is an artistic failure because whatever Hamlet is feeling, Shakespeare is not able to find a good objective correlative. In the external world, he has not given good examples of objects with which Hamlet has to compare his emotions with. He has not given all these things. In this play, Hamlet, Eliot argued that Hamlet's feelings, especially his hesitation, melancholy, and internal conflict, are too vague, too complex, and not sufficiently grounded in the events of the play. He said, Hamlet, the man, is dominated by an emotion which is inexpressible because it is in the excess of the facts as they appear. Means whatever Hamlet is feeling and whatever is being described, there is not good balance between them. In other words, The situation in the play does not provide a sufficient objective correlative to explain or justify Hamlet's intense emotional state. Means whatever situation or objects or the chain of events are being given in the play Hamlet, they are not equivalent to Hamlet's emotional state, and so they are not able to express his feelings. And T.S. Eliot does not want to say that Shakespeare is not a good dramatist. Shakespeare has made a good use of objective correlative, but not in Hamlet. He has used this concept of objective correlative in his another play, Macbeth. Contrast with this Macbeth, where Lady Macbeth's guilt is symbolized through the obsessive hand washing scene. In Macbeth, Eliot believed the emotion matches the situation and imagery. Lady Macbeth in Macbeth, she says, "Out, damned spot, out, I say." You know what happened in William Shakespeare's Macbeth? Macbeth is a king. Actually, Macbeth becomes king later on. Earlier, he was an ambitious soldier, and he killed the King Duncan in order to become. He was commander of King Duncan, and he killed King Duncan in order to become king himself. And his wife, Lady Macbeth, she helped him in this endeavor, in this crime. And after killing King Duncan, Lady Macbeth is so obsessed with guilt that she washes her hands again and again. This washing of hands may be real or imagined as well, but she washes her hands and she says that all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Her act of washing her hands again and again, this shows her mental state. Lady Macbeth's mental state is expressed through this way. This act of compulsively washing her hands after the murder of King Duncan represents her overwhelming guilt. Shakespeare doesn't tell us she feels guilty. Shakespeare is nowhere saying that Lady Macbeth is feeling guilty. Rather, he is showing, and this is the object of objective correlative. He is just showing that he is showing through the action of her washing her hands again and again, through an action that is both external and symbolic. Means external event, the event of washing her hands. This is the proper objective correlative. What is object? Blood. It can be real or imagined. What is action? Action is repetitive hand washing. She is washing her hands again and again. She feels that her hands are stained with the blood of King Duncan, and she is washing her hands again and again, but still feeling that her hands are still stained with the blood of King Duncan. Emotion, guilt and psychological breakdown. So all these things, object, action and emotion, all these three things are coming in this example of Lady Macbeth. In another scene of Macbeth, Lady Macbeth is feeling insomnia. She is sleepwalking. She is so full of guilt that she just While sleeping, she just gets up and starts walking in the sleep. She is a victim of somnambulism. So these two things, her act of washing her hands again and again, and her act of sleepwalking, both these things show her emotional state of mind, that she is feeling very guilty. Shakespeare is nowhere saying that she is feeling guilty, but rather is showing to us through these examples. And this is a good example of objective correlative, which he is able to do in the play Macbeth. And surprisingly, he is not able to do this thing, exact the same thing he is not able to do in his another masterpiece, another popular play, Hamlet. That's why he calls Hamlet an artistic failure. I want to give some examples from examples of objective correlative from the poem of T.S. Eliot itself. Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. This is a poem by T.S. Eliot where uh, Prufrock says, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a peasant etherized upon a table. The image of the sky as a sedated patient evokes feelings of numbness, paralysis, and passivity. There is no direct mention of anxiety or alienation. Prufrock is saying that I am feeling like a patient etherized upon a table. Patient and table. These things are expressing his emotional states. He is not saying that he is feeling sad, but these images of patient and table of hospital, they are expressing his emotional state of mind. Later in the poem, he says, I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. In modern times, we pass our time by taking tea and coffees. And this shows, what does this show? The life, monotonous routine, life of monotonous routine and quiet despair. And this is also a good example of objective correlative. What is importance of this concept of objective correlative in the modern literature? Eliot's idea reflects a modernist emphasis on showing, not telling. The importance is, through the literary work, we show the things, and showing is more impactful, more important rather than telling. Modernist writers sought new, indirect ways of representing truth, emotion, and experience. They discourage sentimentality and melodrama. They encourage precision, economy, and symbolism. They make literature experiential, not didactic. So, what is the characteristics of modernist objective correlative? So, we will sum up the things. In objective correlative, objects are tangible sensory details that represent the emotion and situation. What is situation? Situation is a chain of events that correlates with the inner feelings. Emotion, the reader or the audience feels it indirectly without being told. Means whatever a character is feeling inside his heart. This should not be stated. Rather, through the examples of some objects, in a proper way, in a proper through the a proper situation and chain of events. Object, situation, and chain of events. With the help of all these things, the emotional state of a character is expressed in the work of art, like novel, drama, and poetry. So, this was objective correlative. So, that's all for this class. Thank you.